It's apparently what we do every 72 hours here on Defenders of the Bank. It's the night before another match, and it's time for one more sleep. You heard him chuckle. That is Philly, apparently the suit today, the corporate shill that is Christian Philly Philemon. It's the scarf on summer break, day number 2. Philly, how you doing, bud?
I'm tired, man. Certainly not as relaxed and jovial as you. You've caught up on your sleep deficit, something that you've been having for years now. You're the only person I know that is so unbelievably functional on 2 hours worth of sleep. Nobody functions like you on 2 hours of sleep. That, without a doubt, is your X-Men superpower. I, on the other hand, am dragging, even with 7 hours of sleep and a full-time job.
Listen, I'll take that as my superpower. I would love to regrow another ankle, but other than that, all good. Philly, catching up a little bit on sleep. My dad's got a lot of stuff going on right now, so I'm trying to take care of the family as best I can too. Trying to take care of this schedule that we've got. This one more sleep every 2 or 3 sleeps. My goodness, it has been brutal recently, and it's not getting better anytime soon. And of course, this time it's the Seattle Sounders. Folks, Seattle Sounders, not the typical Seattle Sounders club we are used to, but still, anytime that club in the Rave Green heads on into BMO Stadium, we know we are going to have a battle on our hands.
A team that is very much attached to the history of LAFC. If you remember, going back to 2018, Seattle was the first team that we ever played at the then called Clink. You were there, my friend. It was a historic game in which Diego Rossi scored in the 11th minute to give LAFC its first ever victory in its first ever game. Fast forward, 5 or so games later, our inaugural game, the then called Bank of California Stadium, a epic Hollywood-esque ending, courtesy of one Laurent Simon, our former captain, who couldn't stick around an entire season. And once again, we beat the Seattle Sounders 1-0. It was a team scarf that we used to jokingly call the Flounders for quite some time. And we will never forget, though, that unfortunate Western Conference final in which we got the crap kicked out of us 3-1 midweek, en route to being another one of their sacrificial lambs, them winning another MLS Cup title, and certainly making us not only see green, but feel green and puke out bile that was also the emerald color of green.
Yeah, look, I feel like when we see the Seattle Sounders, we look into our future a little bit. This is a club that has been not just, again, incredibly aspirational, but they have done well with their aspirations, winning MLS Cup, of course, winning and becoming the only Major League Soccer team to win Champions League. They are kind of who we aspire to be and more. We want to be more than what Seattle has done. They're going to be celebrating. It's important to remember this. They're going to be celebrating their 50th anniversary next year. Yes, I know. MLS has only been around since 96, but Seattle Sounders have been around for much longer than that. The NASL is where they used to operate along with the Portland Timbers, the Vancouver Whitecaps. That Cascadia thing has been going on for some time. But Philly, let's talk recent history. This is a club that since their Open Cup win over none other than the Fighting Jerry Jimenez's of the San Diego Loyal on April 26th, they've played 10 matches, Philly, and they've won just 2. Both of those games by a score of 1-0. In those 10 matches, they've been shut out 4 times, and they've only scored more than 1 goal 1 time. Now, that did come in their last game, 3-3 against Charlotte. But Philly, I think we also are kind of looking in the mirror at 2 clubs that chose to rest their players during the Open Cup run. They ran their C squad out. We ran LAFC 2 out. And now kind of feeling the effects of that, plus obviously injuries and that dreaded duty, the international kind.
Yeah, that international duty keeps coming at us on a weekly basis. Didn't think that after the Nations League, we would have to contend with the Gold Cup. In fact, I forgot about it until our good friend Brandon, who is a Seattle Sounders fan after all, reminded us that that's beginning next week. So there would be additional players from both sides not featuring in midweek matchup, midweek melee. But yes, as you said, they haven't had success scoring more than 1 goal per game other than that last outing on June the 10th. They did, however, beat what we can consider a very good and no longer surprising St. Louis SC team. They beat them 3-0 earlier in the season. And we thought the St. Louis team was going to be, a joke, a couple of luck wins here, but they've turned out to be the real deal. But Seattle, who has consistently been the real deal, happens to absolutely whoop the crap out of them. But then, like a week or so later, they go on and lose to a bad Portland team 4-1. One other important thing to note, Scarf, is while this it's not a lopsided series by any means. Seattle's certainly given us one of our worst defeats in club history, but Seattle also hasn't beaten us since May the 16th in the year 2021. We have been far more successful against Seattle in recent years than they have been against us. We've won 6 times, we've drawn them 4, and they've beaten us 5, but they haven't beaten us since the 2-0 butt kicking on May the 16th of 2021.
Yeah, and they're a club that's looking up at us in the standings, despite playing 2 more matches than we have this season. They are 1 point behind us in the standings on 18 matches. They've got 28 points. We, of course, on 29 with 16 matches to play. You mentioned international duty. Philly, I'm going to let you talk about the players in black and gold, but allow me to address the Rave Green for just a moment. Jordan Morris and Christian Roldan, 2 players who feature prominently, not just on Seattle Sounders, but on all-star teams and Team USA, all kinds of stuff. That's exactly why they won't be there. International duty, both of them being drawn into the USA squad. El Salvador has called in Christian's brother, Alex Roldan. And it seems like Xavier Arriaga might be missing a match for Ecuador as well. Those are big names missing among the starting 11. They also, this is not international duty, but some groin issues have been bothering Nico Lodiero since May 31st. He has not played. So maybe they were trying to get him right for this match. Maybe that Saturday, Wednesday schedule that a lot of teams have been faced with has been a little much for players to come back from injury. So we'll see. I mean, no Jordan Morris, no Roldan brothers, no Arriaga, potentially no Nico Lodiero. You'd think that would be enough to handcuff a team, but Seattle, very, very talented. Philly, who are we going to be missing, though? And more importantly, who are we going to be getting back for international duty?
Yeah, talented indeed. I mean, they have utilized 8 homegrown players over the course of the season with several of their key members missing. And some of these homegrown players have actually been quite good for Seattle, but more on them later. Now, we still have Jose Cifuentes, who's going to be on international duty with Ecuador. We now lose Aaron Long, and it's unfortunate because he had one of his better games this season as a member of LAFC, fighting really hard, getting kind of robbed of a goal, but certainly assisting on a goal, which has been great. But who we do get back, and I assume because he's always fighting and raring and excited to go, is that of Denis Bouanga. Gabon last played on Saturday in the Africans Cup, and they will be done at least for another couple of months. So we should be getting the assistance and the efforts back of Denis Bouanga, and it comes at a really good time. He's no longer the Golden Boot leader right now because Hani Mukhtar had himself an excellent outing recently, having a hat trick against St. Louis. And now he sits on top of the Golden Boot race with 13 goals to Denis' 10. But getting Denis back into this team's lineup is very crucial and very important because we've relied on him quite heavily. And thankfully, and fortunately, we were able to beat Sporting Kansas City on the road without his assistance. The captain stepped up, but we are getting back Denis. Hopefully he will be ready to play, but there's nothing on the scouting report or LAFC's media notes that would indicate otherwise.
Yeah, you want to try and find something fun, by the way, try finding Ghana's U23 or U22 team stats. Couldn't find anything on those. No idea if Mahala will be there or not. I know they drew Egypt, I think 1-1, but that was about it. That was all I could tell. They've got a game in a couple of days, so I don't think we'll be seeing Mahala, but I went down.
Listed as out on today's media report.
I know. I went down the rabbit hole. I have no idea what the Ghana U22 team is doing right now. So I hope we have Mahala. I just wanted to throw that in there too. Look, this team, Seattle, they've still got so much talent. You're talking about Yeimar Gomez Andrade, a player that I lovingly and begrudgingly nicknamed the problem at 6'2" in the middle as a center back. But you think that's a big deal. How about standing next to him is 6'6" Jackson Reagan, who actually has played the 3rd most minutes on Seattle's club so far.
It's quite a politician's name, if you ask me.
Right? Outside of Yeimar and Stephen Fry, it has been Jackson Reagan. You got Nuhu, pressures on the outside, and Nuhu always seems to give us problems. Joao Paulo in the midfield, and of course, that Peruvian pistolier, as I believe Philly likes to call him, Raul Ruidiaz, who of course had to wake up and get good and ready by scoring 2 goals in his last match against Charlotte. And then look, they're kind of doing what we're doing right now, Philly. They got Obed Vargas, who's 17, Reed Baker Whiting, who's 18, and Cody Baker, who's 19, that are all giving solid minutes and solid performances for this club. Again, they're kind of one of those model organizations, Philly, that I think we look at in terms of what we aspire to be and what we want to aspire to be better than.
All those young players sound like they're coming up through AAA to play for the Dodgers. Certainly sound more like baseball players than they do footballers, but they are some pretty good footballers. Yeah, 8 of them used over the course of the season, but while they may not score as many goals as, say, St. Louis, they certainly don't allow very many goals in. I mean, 9 shutouts on the season. They lead Major League Soccer. So defensively, they are quite stingy. And when we're talking about the man in between the pipes, granted, he gave us the greatest present of all back in April of 2018. Stephen Fry, he got himself 100 clean sheets just on June the 3rd. He's now the 3rd goalkeeper in Major League Soccer to reach this mark. So good on Stephen Fry. Goals allowed per game, we're looking at 0.94 paltry. They've allowed 17 goals all season long. So it's going to be tough. And we could argue that we've righted the ship. We finally ended a 3-game scoreless streak and winless streak. So we're certainly looking at Denny, and hopefully we could pick up more of that magic from Carlos Vela to go into BMO on Wednesday to climb up the rankings of the Western Conference even further. We're tied for first right now, but down in second due to goal differential. And to have a solid offensive performance against a very stingy Seattle team would be a better defining match to indicate whether or not we truly have righted the ship and are back on the right track.
Yeah, Philly, you mentioned it, leading MLS with those 9 shutouts, allowing fewer than 1 goal per match, the century mark for Stephen Fry. You might think this is a solid defensive team, but they also are very, very good offensively. Second in expected goals in Major League Soccer. Second in expected goal differential to us in Major League Soccer, by the way. So this is a club that, this is a club that we know can score. But again, without Jordan Morris, without Christian Roldan, a little different, maybe even without Nico Lodiero. That being said, Philly, we've talked about a lot of players that are not going to be at BMO tomorrow. Let's talk about who our players to watch are going to be as we head to BMO Stadium tomorrow for the Seattle Sounders match. There's all kinds of cool stuff, by the way, happening at BMO. And this is me talking and filling time. There it is, while Philly finds the scarf players to watch. Look, I think he's so close. And I know this is a player that's high on your list too, Philly, for game in and game out players to watch for LAFC. Mateusz Bogusz, I think he's so close to putting it together. And we know he's going to get the time here at BMO tomorrow. So he's going to be my player to watch. Look, I hope I'm wrong and both players that I picked don't score like last match, because I don't want Joao Paulo to score. But some of my favorite players in the world, I can rattle them off for you rather quickly. The Andrea Pirlos, the Andreas Iniestas, and the Roberto Firminos come to LAFC. Those are those midfielders that I love so much. I really like watching Joao Paulo, guys. He is an excellent midfielder, one of the top 2 or 3 maybe in all of Major League Soccer. And so he, to me, is going to have to be that engine, especially with no Lodiero, no Christian Roldan, no Jordan Morris. Look to see a lot of Joao Paulo, but I'm hoping Mati gets on the scoring sheet. Philly, I have literally no idea what you have said for any of these answers today. This is going to be fun for me. I'm predicting, I think I've got a good prediction as to who you've got for LAFC. No idea who you might pick for Seattle.
I mean, going through these slides, defenders, let me preemptively say, we don't talk about these things prior. We just sort of let them go. Because it's a fun surprise. And usually we have producer Panda out here surprising the both of us. But since she's taking a nap, she's had a long, long day. And she's been working really, really hard. And make sure you check out the Angel City Chicks podcast on San Diego. They did a really good job there. So I've gotten to see Scarf's choices. And it kind of bums me because we're very similar in a lot of ways.
Oh,
not every way, but a lot of ways.
Here we go.
My players to watch.
Get out.
The LAFC version. Yes, Mati Bogusz. Mati Bogusz got himself a really good assist to start the game off against Sporting Kansas City. Like you said, I think he's getting close to putting it together. I love the way he plays, his confidence, his ability to dribble in and around pressure. And obviously he has the ability to get the ball in the box and connect with somebody offensively, which is something we certainly need. He's Yeah, he's on the precipice of being an MLS great. We keep forgetting that this kid's a teenager. And while we said the same about Brian Rodriguez, keep in mind that this isn't designated player money that we're spending on Mati Bogusz. So the upside is a little different. As far as Seattle's concerned, this was a tough one because you had to weed in and out of who's going to be there and who isn't. Jordan Morris started out the season really, really well, and he's currently sitting at 9 goals. But he had yet to score a goal since the match against the New York Red Bull on May the 27th. He did, too, have a game in which he did score 4 goals in one match, which is a historic record now for the Seattle Sounders. So he hasn't been as consistent. And you'd think that Albert Rusnak would be somebody to pick up the steam because he was a goal-scoring threat and an assist machine as a member of really Salty Lake. But he has yet to really budge. But the guy I'm really interested in Seattle who's having a breakout season is the 23-year-old Brazilian from Grêmio, Leo Chu. The guy leads Seattle Sounders with 7 assists and has himself a goal. If you do the math, he's contributed to about 33% of Seattle's total offense. He's having a fantastic season. He hasn't gotten much run up until this point, but his not only his passing and his assist ability, he's 7, whereas the MLS leaders are currently sitting at 8. His passing accuracy is among the top 3 in the league as well, above 81%. At least it was the last time I checked. So he's a player to watch out for and somebody who I think is really going to be a threat should he consistently and repeatedly connect with that Peruvian pistolier and that of Raul Ruidiaz.
Yes, 7 assists on the season. Leo Chu, certainly one to watch. I'm shocked. I thought you had Denny and Raul Ruidiaz for sure. But
I was a little hesitant to put Denny because, again, coming off international duty and the jet lag, I don't know how that's going to affect him. Monty's starting to play better and better, so
I love it. I thought for sure you had the big boys in there. Watch, people are going to say, well, look at Denny Bouanga and Raul Ruidiaz did stuff. Well, you know what? Sometimes that happens. But you know what? I did mention him in my keys to the match, right, Philly? As you got to take a look at beforehand. First thing we got to do is we have to smother Raul Ruidiaz. We cannot give him space. Look, it's very clear. He needs about 1.5 inches to get a shot by any keeper in the league. He is one of the premier goal scorers in all of CONCACAF, let alone Major League Soccer. So Raul Ruidiaz, you give him space, he punishes you for it. The other thing you get punished for is by going to ground, by leaving your feet as a defender. Heck, I don't care if it's Carlos Vela leaving his feet. I don't care if it's Kellen Acosta leaving his feet. I don't think we're going to see Kellen Acosta. But stay on your feet. Stay on your feet. Don't go to ground. Please. That is all.
My keys to the game, we want to control the midfield. It's something that's important for our club. A lot of what we have builds from the back, and that's the type of dynamic team that we are here at LAFC. Controlling the midfield is going to be crucial, both on an offensive front and a defensive front. They've got some solid wingers and a solid midfield. So if we can manage to win that part of the field on a consistent basis, I think we're going to be okay. And something that Seattle has done over the course of its entire history against us is play very physical. Seattle plays very physical. And what I mean by employ mental toughness is to not allow themselves, and I'm talking specifically about Chiqui Palacios and Jesus David Murillo, to not let that physical level of play get in their heads. They have to show that they're mentally tougher than the Seattle Sounders because Seattle's going to come at them and beat them up, much like Portland will. There are some of our players that we can argue are hot-headed. Not as much as Franco Escobar, but there are a lot of hot-headed players on our team. So if Seattle comes at us in a very physical way on the counter, we need to be careful and employ that mental toughness. I think if we could control the midfield and not fall into the trap of getting angry and fighting with the referees, and that's part of the mental toughness because Ted Uncle will be one of the officials tomorrow. We know how we compete when Ted Uncle officiates the match. We need to make sure to not let our faculties and our mindset get away from us and stay mentally involved in this game.
And stay on our feet. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Philly, I think this is going to be a lot of fun at BMO on a Wednesday. I'll say this. I'm really looking forward to what our midfield is going to look like. I don't think, according to Steve Cherundolo, who said, quote unquote, no good news on the injury front. Look, it remains to be seen. Is he talking about Sergio Palencia and Maxime Crepeau? Is he talking about Jesus Murillo, who we know is going to miss a few more weeks? Is he talking about Timothy Tillman and Kellen Acosta, both who we haven't seen in a while? Does that mean Eric Duenas gets another start? Does that mean that Carlos Vela and Ilie Sanchez round out the rest of the midfield with no Jose Cifuentes, and we play the young kids up top with Denny Bouanga? I have no idea, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think this is going to be a very open, very fun offensive game. So I picked the score of 2-1. 2-1. Yeah, a little less, a little fewer goals, I should say, than I really want to go, because I think our back line is just going to be that good. It'll be interesting to see what Giorgio Chiellini and Daniil Maldonado look like together, because I think that's pretty much what we're going to see for the majority of the match. We don't have many other center backs left. Murray is hurt. Aaron Long is gone. Eddie Segura is still nowhere to be found, although he's in all of our videos. So what's going to happen at center back? I don't know. What's going to happen in the midfield? I don't know. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think John McCarthy makes a couple big saves with one of the best keepers in MLS staring at him from the opposite side of the pitch. He is fast becoming one of those best keepers in MLS. I'm going to go with 2-1, and I do think it is going to be Rui Diaz getting that one.
It's a safe bet. I guess I have to peer through the media report because I don't see Moody out.
Yeah, he was talking about Murillo missing.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Is that what I think it is?
I don't know.
Lower extremity. Yeah, I must have missed this. Yeah, no Sergei Palencia.
Yeah, everybody's got a lower extremity, Philly.
Yeah, lower extremes. All right, fine. All so right. I stand corrected. Scar's prediction is 2-1, and it is a very, very good scoring prediction because I, too, have 2-1.
Damn it.
No controversy here. No blowout here. We said it. A goal allowed average of 0.94. A very tough team to score upon. But if we have Denis in the ballgame and Carlos continues that form that he had during the last game, because success breeds upon success, the laws of attraction, I say this time and time again, I feel like we could get the 2. And I think defensively, we're very well equipped to even get a clean sheet out of this. But you never know what Rui Diaz is going to bring to the table. And I do believe that either him or Leo Chu will be involved in some way, shape, or form on the scoring line. At what part of the game the scores come in, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. We're still walking out with 3 points. We're securing another victory at BMO, and there she is.
Couldn't agree more, Philly. You said it wonderfully. And look, I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? They're doing all kinds of cool stuff. They've got some cool scarves and shirts coming for a few different things.
Filipino Heritage Night.
Yeah, we have Filipino Heritage Night. They've got our Armenian Heritage Night too, I think, is having their own scarf as well. All kinds of cool stuff happening right now. It's a fun time. Obviously, it's Pride Month. We want to make sure we recognize that. And of course, Juneteenth being yesterday, so many wonderful things to celebrate. And why not? Why not do it at the Cathedral of the Black and Gold BMO Stadium tomorrow? LAFC takes on Seattle Sounders in what has to be the marquee midweek matchup of the night. I don't know, Philly. I got nothing else. I'm ready. I'm hopefully going to catch up on some sleep. You apparently need a nap. You good?
Yeah, I need a nap. It's been a long day. It'll be a long night tomorrow too. So got to catch that sleep where you can.
There it is. Let's hear a cool guitar riff.
Yeah, yes, let's. Crap.
How did you not know that was coming?
No, I did know it was coming.
You do this to me every time, and then right in the middle of me saying something is when you're going to go ahead and hit that button. Then I get really frustrated because here we are trying to do this thing and make it all look nice and everything, but he hasn't hit the button yet. I was trying to.
No, because I was trying to be polite this time. It's corporate shill Philly. He's a little more respectful than the platinum-colored haired flamingo. Anyway, I digress. Bye.